So could this be the start of a war, or could it turn out to be nothing? Only time will tell, but here to help us make sense of the situation is Don Brown, U.S. Navy veteran, Navy JAG officer, and federal prosecutor. Don, thank you for joining me.
Well, good to be here with you, Riley. Thanks for having me today.
So what do you make of this movement for the Lincoln Carrier Strike Group?
Well, you did a really good job of laying out some of the tremendous firepower that the Carrier Strike Group has. Between 60 and 80 planes usually on board the carrier itself, as you pointed out, F-35s, F-18s. The three Guided missile destroyers will carry up to 90 Tomahawk cruise missiles with a strike range of up to 1,000 miles. And also in that strike group, there's ordinarily at least one, if not more than one, Virginia-class now attack submarines also with Tomahawk capabilities. Having said that, I want your audience to understand that it isn't all that unusual for us to have a carrier strike group operating in or near the Indian Ocean or the Arabian Sea almost at all times. Not at all times, but typically we will deploy our carrier strike groups either from the Atlantic. We have 4 carriers, and the Abraham Lincoln is one. It would have come from the Mediterranean through the Red Sea into the Suez Canal and out into the Arabian Sea and be in a position to strike. And we have 6 from the Pacific. So it isn't unusual. But one thing we've seen about President Trump is that he normally will sound a warning before he orders a strike. We saw it with the hit on Venezuela when he gave Maduro every opportunity to surrender and leave. We also saw it when he struck Iran's nuclear program. He gave them every opportunity to shut it down. And there has been some talk here, and these mass executions, some 6,000 of them now in the last month or so, have been horrendous, and the president is concerned about it. Is it going to be big stick diplomacy, or are we going to strike? There lies the question. We have the forces there if we need to strike and could do it very quickly.
So to follow up then, and that's really interesting. So you say it's not unusual. Fair enough. But what would be the impetus to make that movement, right? Is this deployment or positioning about Iran, or could it be about something else? Because I do wonder what might have led to this movement itself.
Yeah, I would say that in most cases, when we were deploying carrier strike groups into the Arabian Sea, in the Indian Ocean, and sometimes even up into the Persian Gulf on the southern part of Iran, it is because of Iran. Iran is the bad actor in that region. Of course, you have the Shia, the Sunni versus Shia, argument that's gone on between the Saudis and the Iranians or the Persians for years. And the presence of that group is ordinarily to deter against Iranian adventurism. Of course, the power of a carrier strike group in the Indian Ocean gives it the ability to strike in a number of other places as well, which is why we got to keep, in my judgment, that the base at Diego Garcia in the middle of the IO. But Iran ordinarily is the bully on the block, and these strike groups are sent in to keep Iran checked and at bay.
So this could just be about sending a message.
The president is always in the send a message mode. And as I've said many times, he plays 5-dimensional chess. I personally don't see it having escalated rhetorically yet to the point that it was when we struck either Venezuela or the first Iranian strike, but it could get there. It's just going to depend. These massive executions of 6,000 civilians by many reports, really since we dropped those bunker busting bombs on their Iranian nuclear sites back this past summer, have been horrendous. Nobody likes to see that. We're going to see how the regime responds. They were bringing in Hezbollah from Lebanon because their own security forces were not capable of suppressing free speech. The Iranian regime is a regime on the verge of basically toppling. And it may be that the president's aware of this, and a strike or two might be what he feels is necessary to cause it to topple. I, like you, don't want to see us to go to war. The president has been good about using military strikes very strategically in ways, when you look at the last 3 strikes he's ordered against the Iranian nuclear program with Venezuela, and even in his last administration against Soleimani, these have been surgical strikes by special forces and by the Navy and the Air Force, which have been in and out. We have not lost any American lives in any of those. I think that's the president's philosophy. He certainly doesn't want to commit boots on the ground, but I could see him possibly ordering a strike if he thinks that might be the straw that breaks the camel's back to collapse this regime. We'll just have to wait and see.
Understood. And I trust it wouldn't be a knee-jerk, irrational decision. I'm sure there would be some kind of calculus beforehand. However, Don, I guess only time will tell. But in the meantime, can I just say thank you for being here today? I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Coming up next, We'll celebrate a game-changing achievement by American climber Alex Honnold on today's edition of Real Good News. More details after the break.